Gentlemen, I will call the Budget, Finance, and Investment Committee to order, and we have minutes to approve for June 17 and June 19.
So moved to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Schaefer.
Seconded.
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you, gentlemen. That motion carries. We do have some old business to take care of, even though it is listed on our agenda. What number is it down here? Number 9. I'm going to go ahead and ask Mr. Garrett and Mr. Gammon to join us. And this is to discuss specifically one item in the sheriff's budget that was brought up during our public hearing, and also some discussion that we had at our last budget meeting, and they're here to answer some questions. And good evening, gentlemen, and welcome.
Thank you, Miss Eden. Thank you for changing the agenda, Miss Ely, Madam Chairperson and Commissioners. Chief Gammon and I are here to provide some detail regarding the Sheriff's Office uniforms. First, let me address the Class A uniform, which only one is issued to command personnel, captain and above. The cost of the Class A uniform is $519.25. Only captains and commanders get that uniform, a total of 11 personnel. We have issued green uniforms to patrol and detention, and will issue the green uniform to all school resource officers next year. These uniforms cost less, they're more serviceable, and are uniform across all enforcement divisions of the Sheriff's Office.
Or, excuse me, are those being dry cleaned?
They are, yes, sir. You may recall that prior to Sheriff Arnold taking office, a civil suit was filed against the county because of we didn't have a uniformity in all of our uniforms, and we got into a situation where a lady said she didn't realize that they were Sheriff's Office employees. So that's another reason why we decided to consolidate the uniforms. Certainly the uniforms we have now are very recognized as being a sheriff's deputy. As you can see from the handout that I have given you, Sheriff Arnold has decreased spending on uniforms every year since he's been in office and continues to spend taxpayer dollars wisely. The current green uniforms cost less and certainly are more serviceable than the previous blue uniforms that I'm wearing. Our older blue uniforms that are still serviceable will be donated to organizations such as Paul's, Laverne Police Department, the Rutherford County Fire Department, and anyone else who may wish to receive them. We begin to offer dry cleaning in the 2011-2012 budget year, and certainly we believe that dry cleaning extends the life of the uniform. It certainly keeps a uniform from fading. If you multiple wash a uniform, naturally it's going to fade. And certainly we have to replace some uniforms and equipment on a yearly basis, simply from wear and tear. Items such as the duty belts, the inner belt, excuse me, flashlight holders, gas pouches, glove pouch, belt keepers, handcuff case, boots, winter coats, and rain gear is included in the uniform budget. With that said, we'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have.
The 11 that you were talking about, is that also your honor squad?
No, sir. It does not include the honor guard.
So there'd be another, what?
Separate.
6 or right around
Those are actually a little bit over 700, but they have to be tailored,
Right.
and then it's more of a true military look, and tapered, and those type of things.
And those uniforms did not come out of the uniform line item. They were actually purchased from a one-time expenditure from the narcotics account.
So, make a long story short, you say he's reduced it each year. I see it was 10 and 11 was 270,000 and some more dollars, and then 11 to 12 was almost 260, 259 something. Then 12-13 was 233. And then this year, you don't have a total, just the date's 169, so you're assuming it'll come in?
Yes, sir.
I say around at least 200, I would guess, but maybe not. So you've actually lowered the cost.
Yes, sir. And the 10-11 budget was already passed by the time the sheriff took office.
The comment about the dry cleaning, I mean, it was $30-something thousand, 36 or 7
Well,
thousand,
the budget that we propose
Yeah.
this next year is
Yeah.
$34,000.
34,000, but you've got approximately how many people wearing those green uniforms? 400, close to it?
We have, there's approximately not 400 wearing them, there's probably 300 plus that are wearing them.
Yeah.
But by the time you count detention and patrol, and the SROs.
You've
So-
got probably 225 certified officers, and then you've got your other, out of 155 detention, you've got different, probably about 120 of those.
But if you
were-
break that 30-some odd thousand down to that many people,
Right.
and then divide by how many units, they have to at least a couple each, you know, or 2 or 3 each, and that's not that much per uniform, you know, and if you're not fading that uniform, making it last half again as long or something like that, then I think that's a justifiable number, you know, it just looks like a bigger number, because we're a big county, we've got a lot of employees. If we had a small jail with 4 guards and 4 deputies, we'd have a few $100s in a
Yes,
dry
sir.
cleaning line item, but we're not that little county anymore we were 40 years ago.
And Chief Gammon brought up something, or at least was interesting to me, at public safety, and that's where are these uniforms going through? Do you want to wash them in your washer and dryer at home? When, heck, who knows what they've been into, you know,
Our
on their
deputies face
assignments.
biohazard situations
Yeah.
every day.
Everything, sometimes they're the first responders to, on scene in this type thing. Meth labs,
Dry
et
cleaners
cetera, all
probably
that
need to know
stuff.
about that.
They get-
They're not gonna like that situation.
But I don't
That's
think
an
you,
extra fee.
I don't think you want it getting washed with, your kids' clothes or
No,
something
sir.
like this.
Well, if you actually sent your employees home to wash the clothes at their own house, there could get to be an overtime situation, because they're doing that to be able to come to work, and that would be how much time they're spending washing the clothes. You know, we've gotten in trouble in the past in certain departments where people, it'd be a county uniform, county owns a uniform, you gotta wash it. Tell me it couldn't be a labor grievance.
Well, like I said, on the other thing, rather than beat a horse here,
Yeah.
is that just like when you've got as many officers taking clothes home, whether they're single or married, you're gonna have, 200 different ways of washing them, 200 different types of detergent. And then 9 times out of 10, without being funny here, the wives are gonna iron them, and that's, there, you kind of get into the big vicious circle there, just on the personal side.
Since we're getting all technical and everything, how does that, do they throw them in a dumpster or something, and then y'all take them to the cleaners, and then they get them back, and then you bring them all back
No,
there,
sir.
or is there
Each
400
individual,
trips?
each individual person carries their own bus and
Okay.
cleaners.
Well, I noticed that you mentioned that there was a problem with identification of an officer. And I want to make it plain, I've never had a problem identifying any of your officers that were in uniform. Now, some of your SROs, and I think this is the
Well, that
case
was
you
the
were
case.
talking
That is the
about.
case.
Yeah, that was the
He was
case.
wearing khakis and a shirt
Yes.
and probably an embroidered sheriff's
Right.
deputy emblem. And I could see somebody possibly mistaking that.
That's
But
exactly the one.
the only frustration I've had with uniforms over the years is how many times you've changed here lately. I think this is like the 3rd change you've had since Sheriff Arnold's been in. But I understand that if he's trying to get,
I think it's
something.
the second, I'm not sure, I believe this is the first change that he's had, because
We were already in blues.
We were already in
We
blue.
were
Now, we
in
went to a
blues
different material, but stated blue, and
Okay.
now we're going to green.
Well, like I mentioned the other night, I remember one of your officers burnt holes in about 3 of his shirts helping us out at Kittrell, because he got into the fire scenes before us, and I ended up gave him some turnout gear just so he'd stop burning his shirts off his back. That polyester was melting.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It's just dangerous. You don't want to be around a fire with that, but,
Which is what the fire department is the polywool, not the.
Yeah, right.
But having said that, now, the reason I even brought that up was, the green uniforms that you've got there, to me, it reminds me more of a soldier or somebody with wildlife services. Of course, they're licensed officers also, as far as looking at that in Boy Scouts. But you know, having said that, I mean, the old that's going back to uniforms we used to see in the 50s. You know, of course, you had the browns, a lot of those with the straps up there with the different colors.
Well, you're looking at,
But
and the bigger you get, we're looking at the officers are comfortable for the officers on top of that. We have the outfits now where they wear their vest on the outside. That's identifiable, sheriff on the back, badges and all that. So if you stopped and asked any deputy in the street, 'cause I hear constantly how much it's got 6 pockets on it on top of that, and when you get in stuff, it's a lot of stuff to store. If you not bring the trunk of the car up, you look at the trunk of the car, you can't squeeze a tomato in there, you know, by the time you get all the gear in there. So it just kind of helps morale also when they've got a comfortable, you know, uniform to wear on top of that, and they're going to have to get on the ground or wherever, you know, and those type of things, and the durability of it's going to be better.
so they're liking it better because I hadn't had one tell me yet that they liked it.
They told me. I mean,
I'm, you know, you and I are hearing
Yeah.
different stories.
I mean,
Understand.
That's part of the reason I'm bringing that up. So
Well, typically, Commissioner, blue uniforms, if you look at police departments across the nation, they're typically blue. If you look at sheriff's office uniforms across the country, they're not blue. They may be different colors, green or green and tan, or a combination thereof. But sheriff's offices, we work in a different environment, and the material is called a stop rip material. In other words, it's hard to rip it as you're working in a county setting.
well, I mean, I can understand colors, and that's why fire departments are going away from blue because we're tired of getting shot at. People thinking that we're cops when we come knocking on the door to put their fire out, and that's a fact. But
It is true. I understand that.
So I mean, I welcome the change if it's saving us money and it's going to work.
So tell me, what the, once real quickly, and we'll be off this, what's the plan? You're coming out of the blues, going into the green.
Yes, sir.
There will not be any blue no more.
Yes, sir. I'll be in blue anymore.
So it's gonna be green, and then what else?
You'll have a green, a black uniform is the honor guard uniform. It's not blue, it's black, always been black.
Black.
You'll have a green, and then we will
That's
have.
just 6 guys though, or so.
It's a little bit more than that. It may be as many as.
About 9 or 10.
Okay.
It is.
Okay.
Then you will see some green and tan.
Is that the jail green and
No,
tan
sir,
then?
you
or
will
is
see
that-
some green and tan with command staff. In other words, it won't be all
Okay.
green, it'll be green and tan, but they're all, as you can see, the expenditures are less each year.
I think we need to, you know, if there's a plan, I didn't see the plan. I didn't see that we were headed into a, you know, this is the way it's gonna be,
Yes, sir.
kind of thing. So, you know, I think if you're heading in a direction where you're gonna be spending, you know, less and not have still this array, the outside end, like you were talking about, was there's 5 different uniforms out there.
That'd be full.
And, you know, if we got different colors, and who are we? Are we City of Murfreesboro, or are we the State Troopers, or are we the Sheriff's Department, or who are we, you know? So,
And that's what you run into, because
Yeah.
even in the blues, sometimes somebody will have a complaint, and you can't identify who they are. They don't always know to look at the patch.
yeah.
But I mean, there's always been a number of uniforms in the department, even before, because your ICE units, and like I said, the SROs had there for the patrol did. And so what we're trying to do is define, you know, and basically get everybody certified under that one main color, which is Class C. But then the Class Bs, for instance, are if you go to court, another place, because we want to respect the court. It could be an officer's going to a funeral, you want him to wear the Class B. Now, they're not going to be issued 5 sets of Class Bs.
Just one.
You know, just one, and then we replace it as they need it. So that's kind of what you get into there. And then, of course, you look at the other, there's going to be some Class D things ordered, and that's mostly your civilian people.
One more question on the dry cleaning thing. Y'all do laundry and stuff out there now for a numerous amount of
We do.
stuff, you know, at the jail. Is this something y'all gonna look at maybe in doing dry cleaning on it? Or is this
I don't think we're equipped to do dry cleaning at the jail. We just typically just wash in very hot water there to kill all the germs and bacteria from the clothing that inmates wear inside the jail. We don't wash any of our staff uniforms
Right.
at the jail.
I mean, we always can look at that if you want to pay for it.
Well, it might be cheaper. You might take a look at it.
Might be.
Next year's budget, they'll be willing to look at it and observe it. And if it's saving taxpayer dollars, I bet you we're.
We'll review
You can use an inmate to do a lot of washing.
Yes, sir, we do.
See, there you go. There's the labor cost.
Well, the inmates can wear faded clothes.
Yes, sir, they
Yeah.
can.
But a sheriff officer doesn't need to be out there in clothes that are all faded and have fallen off.
I don't think you want your county represented that
Yeah.
way.
Well, it's look professionalism too. You
Yeah.
want to try to present to the public you serve a professional image at the same time.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate that.
Thank you for coming and bringing us the information. Gentlemen, any other discussion or questions for Mr. Garrett or Mr. Gammon?
I just want to make one thing clear. The reason we asked you guys up here is because this came up in the public
Sure,
hearing.
good.
Yes, sir.
And I didn't feel good about making a vote or, doing anything without you guys here to defend what you were doing.
I understand, we thank you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms.
very
Ely.
much.
Thank you, Commissioner.
Thank you, sir.
Gentlemen, we're ready for the general fund budget amendments. Okay, and our first amendments is from maintenance. Mrs. Nolan, we have two dealing with Mr. Mankin's maintenance budget.
The first request is to amend a line that has been overdrawn, but there are sufficient funds in travel and data equipment to move into maintenance equipment, $3,204. The second one is a request to make sure that we have sufficient funds to award bids that was done at the last purchasing committee, and to make sure that we have sufficient funds to cover emergency repairs. We're asking to take $5,600 from unassigned fund balance. This function probably will be okay and not need this, but I'm not sure if the savings are all in the right line to pull out, so that's why I'm requesting the $5,600 from fund balance for building improvements, $600, and maintenance and repairs of
So the
$5,000.
county clerk didn't have any other items that we could
This is
pull
not
out?
county, yeah, well, it's a repair and maintenance out of,
It's for the clerk's building, but we
It's
pay
for
for
it.
it out of the building
Oh,
maintenance budget.
okay.
Well, even if we take it out of assigned fund balance, at the end of the year, it's gonna roll, what's left over is gonna roll right back into there.
right, and I feel like
It's not a
there will
good
be,
thing
I
to
just
start
didn't know
doing,
where
but-
it is
yeah,
that
but-
We
that
didn't
we're
know
gonna be
where
able to
pull it
take
from
it.
which lines,
Motion to approve.
I'll second it.
Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner P. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. And from the Election Commission, Mrs. Nolan?
Okay, we've got three items. The first one is more of an accounting to make sure that the expenses categorized correctly. It's for office furniture coming from office equipment, and it was planned in the budget, but it was more of a, if there were monies left over, they wanted to buy some furniture. There was, I just want to account for it correctly. So it's within $4,000 coming from office equipment to furniture and furniture. The second one, when we budget for an election, part of the election workers are paid like salary and wages, W-2 wages. Other ones are just paid by the day. So there's a calculation for the Social Security and Medicare. Anyway, I was too heavy on the estimate for those working just the one day. So this is a correction for our Social Security and Employer Medicare, and for the Election Commission's time. I think they're overdrawn by $800, and I've just put $2,000 just in case. But there is sufficient funds in election workers, $3,750. The third one is to ensure that there is sufficient monies for their office supplies. They're overdrawn, but they did have money in travel. So we're requesting to move $2,000 from the travel line to their office supplies.
I'm with you on everything except for the first one, furniture. We're going from office equipment to furniture,
Yeah,
but for what?
well, I mean, it's for desks,
Also, they replace the desk?
Yes.
Okay.
desks.
And it wasn't,
It just wasn't in the right line item
Gotcha.
to buy furniture. They just-
Okay.
And desks aren't really, I mean,
right.
quick.
Motion to approve, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Sandlin, seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. From the county mayor,
This is for autopsies to finish up for the rest of the year. The estimate is $30,000 coming from unassigned.
I'm gonna make a motion to approve. This is one we really don't have a choice on. We
We
don't have
really
a
don't
choice
know.
on who gets the autopsy and how many there are gonna be, so we got a bill, we gotta pay it.
We know it's a county responsibility.
We've got another one.
You wanna take both these as one?
Yes, it would do it.
And this next one is end of the year, the other charges line items where we put the items that really don't fit anywhere. And we're asking to move 3,000 in there just to make sure that we have sufficient funds to cover those things that we might not know that are coming right now. Sitting on my desk to pay is got 2 tax bills for the trustee for property that we've acquired through the year, and there's a time of year that we've got the tax bill, and a bill that has come in for $300 for signs.
We approved placing a Uncle Dave Macon sign on a bridge, and it's $300. So
So I really don't, at this moment, need 3,000, but I want to make sure there's sufficient funds to pay for anything else that might come in the next 3 weeks.
But this is all coming out of the mayor's
Yes.
budget on stationary
Yes.
forms. I'll add that to my motion.
Commissioner P., thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Any further discussion?
I just gotta make sure on the first one, the one that we have to do, and that is that an autopsy, if it is requested by the sheriff's department or any police department within the county is required to pay it.
that's correct.
Thank you.
So this will make, $260,000 what we've spent in autopsies.
If we spend all of
If we
that,
spend it all,
we may, it may not be coming in quite that much. $1,600 every time one is done.
Well, we've already spent 230 evidently.
Well, we spent
We need-
$213,000 as of June 6th.
Okay. So there's some other bills back in there that we're gonna
And
get. This right here is for, yeah.
Possibly.
Okay.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ball,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P.,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer.
Another unfunded mandate that I have to vote for.
Is that a yes?
Yes, I'm sorry, I should have added that at the end.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. A budget amendment from the assessor's office. Mrs. Nolan?
This is, again, making sure the expense lands in the right function, and this is to fund their personal property audit. You may remember this when we moved the 22 that they added to it, but I didn't realize when I was preparing the amendment before that they intended to spend the $30,000 also on their audit expense. So we're moving this from the reappraisal into the assessor's function. It's for the same expense, other contracted services.
So moved.
Second.
Commissioner Sandlin, seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ball,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P.,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. From the finance office, Mrs. Nolan?
Okay, this first one has to do with the unemployment compensation. We do unemployment just like we do health insurance, where we put a pooled amount because we're not for sure where the unemployment claims, which budgets they'll fall in. So this is our end of the year cleaning up, moving the money out of the pooled amount into the departments that did have the charges. Election, $100, maintenance, $4,000, workhouse, $7,000, and juvenile detention, $9,000, for a total of $12,000.
So moved.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ball,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P.,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Mrs. Nolan?
Okay, we've got the reserves from our third-party administrator on our property and casualty claims, and our end-of-the-year reserves have gone up quite a bit, and so we need to increase the amount that we've got in that fund by $5,000. And I am asking to take this out of unassigned.
That's
$500,000.
Yeah.
$500,000.
Had a couple zeros right there.
$500,000.
$500,000.
There's another penny.
Yep, there's another.
Don't guess we have any choice, do we? If we all vote no, do we not have to do this?
If we vote no, then we end up with a fund that has a deficit fund balance, and we don't want to have that.
Which includes these reserves, which hopefully some of which we won't spend, but we don't know.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner Jordan, thank you.
Sure.
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Any further discussion?
Just give me a couple of examples. Property and casualty, like a dump, a
Somebody,
waste,
Just name any department that had a loss.
a vehicle or loss. Does
Accident.
vehicles come in this too?
Accident.
Okay. And losses, right?
it's those things that are not workers' comp or on-the-job injury and not health insurance.
I mean, we've almost doubled this.
Yes.
And have we had an extremely bad year, or? I mean, it looks like that, from 800 to add another 5 to it.
Part of this is in years past, we've tried to make sure that we had a sufficient amount in the fund, and the school board has paid ahead. So the school board has put money in, it's kind of covered, made sure that we had sufficient funds, but they weren't all theirs, they were some of ours. So this year we're
Making up some from the past.
Mhm.
Well, this would be things like, is this some of the attorney's fees on, for instance, the Moss lawsuits that the
Mhm.
county's had to defend?
Yes.
So this is part of that.
It'd be part of that if there was a claim at the sheriff's department or at the jail, if an inmate filed a suit, it'd be coming out of these
And
things.
School board and all
School
of those.
Whether we
board
win or lose, we still have to pay attorney
We
fees.
still have legal fees
Right. On top
and
of.
judgments.
On top of our
Judgments and
attorney
settlements,
fees.
et cetera, all that adds together.
It was said earlier, we're not a county that's got 4 detention officers and 4 patrol officers, right?
Big county, big numbers.
Gentlemen, we do have a motion and a second. Do we need further discussion relative to this motion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
I just want to go back to this. On those, if somebody files a claim against the county, our third-party administrator will look at that and they'll set money aside and they'll say, we think this will cost you X, and they'll set it aside. Not that we may or may not spend it, but that's their best judgment. The auditors total all that up and make sure that we have recognized it as a liability to the county, potential liability to the county. That's why we make sure that we have it funded. As the mayor said, we may or may not
And
spend
it takes sometimes a year or 2 or 3 for us to actually know what we've actually spent
Or 5 or 6.
on many of these.
I paid one from 2006 the other day.
Yeah, okay, it's a long tail on some of this.
When you pay a claim out or a settlement out from something happened in 2006, does that, you have to go back and amend the record from 2006? Does that money hit, you have to go back and amend that?
It's already been
Or-
recognized.
It's already been-
a
we-
liability.
It's in here
We
now. So
recognize
it-
it as a
yeah.
liability every
Every year, we're carrying over what we estimate it to be. 'Cause
Right.
I
So we're
think y'all
kind of
have to go back
adjusting.
and change the books from 8 years ago or something like that.
No, we're adjusting, this is what the liability is today
Mhm.
on all those claims that are still open. Okay, sorry.
Mr. Gregory, if you'll join us, please, from pause. And you have a budget amendment and a grant contract with the Tennessee Department of Health.
Yes, ma'am. We're asking to move money around within our budget to cover our overtime for the end of the fiscal year and our gasoline line items.
And can we do the grant with this as one vote? If you'll tell us about that, please.
The grant is what we get from the state of Tennessee, the animal-friendly license plates. Last year, we received $3,400. This year, we received $3,900. It will start July the 1st, and those are for spay and neuter surgeries for low-income residents, and we do those surgeries in-house now, utilizing our current vet staff.
And that's no matching funds from the
Correct,
county.
no county funds.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner
Second.
P, thank you. Seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Gregory. From the Health Department, Ms. Garrett, hello. You have a budget amendment and also a grant amendment with the Tennessee Department of Health.
Yes, ma'am. The first one is, this is on our state reimbursed budget. They sent, they sent 2 of our employees on some overnight travel that was quite costly. And they are willing to reimburse us. We just have to move some money from our supply item to our travel, to clear that up so that we can keep it straight on our end here at the county.
We'll take you separate or together.
You can take them together.
We
but
can
they-
do that, and the
Okay.
grant amendment.
Okay. So is this the,
This amends the 2,000 into the
okay,
right line item.
so this is just the state's end of the paperwork of the same thing that the county is moving the money. This is the state's contract amendment to give us the 2,000 from supplies into travel, to cover the travel they sent our employees to. That makes sense.
So moved, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandlin.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jordan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Garrett.
Where'd they
Thank
send
you.
them?
One went to Jackson for a week for breastfeeding certification, lactation consultant certification, and one went to Cookville for 3 days
Will this grant
for
come through for us to
heart
actually execute this?
education about a new program we're going to do with Stanford.
I was wondering when you said
curriculum.
you thought it was more than y'all expected, is where to go, you know?
Yeah, well,
This one-
It's still in the
normally,
county, in the
Yeah.
state though, so,
yeah,
yeah.
normally the employee would send it straight into the state and get reimbursed that way.
Yeah.
The state wanted to do it this way now instead of doing that, so,
Gotcha, thank you.
yeah. Thank you, guys.
Cookville's a great vacation spot.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry.
Cookville's a great vacation spot.
Yeah.
Then-
And Jackson was the other one.
Yeah. Now it's gonna hit the papers there,
Good
Commissioner.
barbecue in both.
Well, Cookville stole the championship football games away from us. I won't forgive them for that. Blue Cross Blue Shield Bowl.
Gentlemen, we have a budget amendment from the Correctional Work Center. Mrs. Nolan.
Yeah, again, this is accounting and making sure that the expense is classified correctly, and this is to provide funds to purchase an oven in the workhouse, moving $4,870 from maintenance repair of equipment to other equipment.
I make a motion to approve. He said he couldn't repair it anymore. They pieced it as all they could.
Thank you, Commissioner P, seconded by Commissioner Schaefer.
Was that some of the equipment they were using while they were helping the jail out?
Well,
A
yeah,
couple of years
it's
ago, they
relatively
were-
new equipment, but it's used its life up there. I mean,
When the jail, seemed like when the jail's
yeah, we
kitchen
did.
was out
we
last
did
year, the workhouse
for a
was
while,
cooking it and
yes.
stuff, and they were cooking like 10 times as much as they usually cook there for several months. You know.
That's correct.
Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan, Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. We also need to approve a litter grant with the Tennessee Department of Transportation.
And this is the one that the workhouse receives money for picking up litter on the state highways. The maximum amount of this grant is $33,785.
Move to approve.
Commissioner Schaefer, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum,
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan,
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan,
Yes.
Commissioner P,
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin,
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer,
Yes.
Commissioner Ely.
Yes. And gentlemen, I think you will remember that we, I think, did this for the first time last year, the approval of the Smyrna Rutherford County Airport Authority budget.
And just about forgot to do it again. So this was a last minute pull-in for y'all. And my apologies for not contacting Mr. Black to be here, but here is his budget that was approved by the Airport Authority.
And last year was the first year we approved it?
Yes.
What changed as to why we need to approve it?
Well, audit standards are there some changing in GASB statements, and one was that you have to really look at all your joint ventures and your, you know, those type arrangements like we have with the library, community care, and the airport authority. And then as you start drilling down and seeing it, it's like, oh, we're supposed to be approving their budgets.
Well, who else approves? Smyrna?
Smyrna
City of
should be.
Smyrna approves it also.
Mhm.
Have the motion approved.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you.
I'll second it, but I don't have a clue what these numbers are supposed to be. I mean,
They're-
hopefully somebody in Smyrna knows
Well,
if
it's
it
a-
needs to be
Seconded
looked
by
at in
Commissioner
depth, you know.
It's a very stabilized budget.
Yeah.
I mean, they're very, very
What
frugal
did
in there.
What are the
Mr.
two
Black does a great
columns, the
job.
left one and the right one about? It says both were
One's a monthly
approved.
column and one's an annual column.
Oh,
The-
monthly, okay.
The
I
right
see
column is
word.
broken out by month.
Monthly, right.
Okay. Does it give us a total for last year?
Not on this budget, not on this page.
Well, we've got a percent change from previous budget. Is that from last year's or last month's?
Or both.
think
I would
that
say last
year.
This is from previous budget.
from the
24%, that's a good
14,
reduction.
15 budget.
3 more years will be gone.
It looks like the
Hot
profit's
tonight.
up 7%. Unlike Commissioner Jordan, we don't know much about this. We hadn't spent much time on it, but it looks like their profit's up 7%.
Well, they do have a net income, ordinary income, and then other income. And I assume that's monthly and yearly that they're giving us. But the one being down 24%,
Yeah,
I
well-
question that's.
Then they got net income
They
down
should
at the
have
bottom.
actually had an increase where
But
we did that refinancing.
The primary increase here in expenses is the interest expense. You can see that's up substantially.
And now you already know that they're going to be paying us back
Mhm.
for the loan that we just
And
did.
they're not going to have any revenue generated from their new investment until they get that built and occupied.
Well, they're gonna be paying us back, but they're gonna be paying us back
Like
less than
lower
they
rate.
originally were since we changed that.
On the first
Well, we've got
piece.
2 pieces.
And we made another loan.
Yeah.
Yeah, we made an additional loan, yes. So they're going to have to use reserves to pay us until they get the revenue generated.
Any further discussion relative to the motion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Salmon?
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes.
Yeah. Is the county responsible for 60% and Smyrna 40? Okay.
Yes. It's ours. I mean,
We-
jointly.
That's our percentage of ownership. We
Yeah.
haven't had to place any additional capital into that, at least since I've been here.
Mm.
We've loaned money, which have been repaid.
Mr. Sandy, join us, and you have some general purpose school fund budget amendments, and we will take
One
these.
cafeteria.
Yes, we'll take the general purpose school
All right.
fund budget amendments first, and we will take this as one vote unless
All right.
I hear otherwise from a member of the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Our first amendment is for certified and classified staff. It reallocates $40,500 in already budgeted staff funds, $5,864 in the related benefits to line items affected by staff changes. These changes cover, we added an hourly part-time nurse mid-year because we had to have a second nurse in one of our schools. Training time for our new attendance coordinator and our new high school principal, Dr. Justice, and summer clerical help for human resources. Our recommended motion is to amend $40,500 in already budgeted staff funds and $5,864 in related benefits for a total of $46,364 to the staff and benefit line items as presented.
Motion approved.
I think we're gonna get it all in, I think, Eric.
Are you? Okay.
The second one is for expenditures within major function. It's a routine cleanup, even though the dollars are big. It reallocates budgeted non-labor expenditures within major functions. It totals $1,332,700. The largest functions being affected are, these total over $1.1 million. $498,500 in plant operations, primarily utilities, just moving line item, money to different line items. $171,062 in maintenance, various repairs and replacements. We don't know from one year to the next what's going to be in building versus equipment versus contract services or parts, materials, and supplies. $145,000 in technology, recategorizing within that budget primarily between computers and networking work that we've had done as part of our park money from the state, just moving within line items.
Were there specific schools that were upgraded, or what's the story on
We,
that? Was that across the board?
Across the board. If they did not have, and a few of them we had kind of been moving that way. If they did not have it, in the next amendment you'll see more of it.
The reason I asked, years ago we had approved some technology, and then the school board later, this is before your time, decided that they didn't want to use that money there, and they moved it in somewhere else, and they told all the teachers at that school that were anticipating the technology that the commission didn't allocate, in which we had. Just want to make sure we didn't have any of that going on.
No, we did not, Commissioner.
Thank you.
$118,077 in the transportation department for special ed transportation. Within the vocational education program, $103,556 to record expenditures in the proper line items, and that in that area we move between equipment, instructional materials, and supplies. Pieces like that, just as we ask that they stay within their non-labor budget. Substitute teachers, a total of $97,870. We have to separate them between certified and non-certified subs, so every year we have to do a cleanup amendment to adjust that. And actually we are, our sub total this year was about $100,000 lower than last year's, which was good news. Some of that was because we didn't have to, the postponement of the Affordable Care Act for part-time employees, but still that we came out a little lower.
The transportation line item, is it just in addition to what you were already doing?
Moving money around within transportation. The Genesis contract is driven by number of students enrolled, and at a certain point we have to add another bus.
Yeah.
We had to add buses earlier this year than we had anticipated.
Gotcha.
What's the difference between a certified sub and a non-certified sub?
A certified teacher versus someone who is not a certified teacher.
Okay, so it is somebody that college degree and they have a degree,
They have another
certificate.
Only if they are a
$10 isn't it?
certificate. Yeah, it's not a lot. Only if they are a certified teacher.
The difference used to be they're $5 or $10 a day
Yeah,
between the
it's not.
non-certified
It's
and
not.
certified.
It's not a lot. That's one of those areas when we look at the budget.
It
we
used to
talk
be all
about
the same,
increase.
wasn't it? A few years
Way
ago.
back it was, but yeah, for several, well, when the state went to requiring this separation, that's why we changed the rates, so we'd be able to separate them. And we needed to do it, but we gave a larger raise to the certified subs that year. And just, kind of, I mentioned it as the time or two we do it. This amendment does reallocate already budgeted non-labor expenditures within the major functions. And we bring the amendments forward to you, but the school board does have the authority to amend in that area. And our recommended motion is to amend $1,332,700 in already budgeted non-labor expenditures within the major functions as presented.
And none of this, I mean, this is a lot of money, but none of this is coming out of anything but
No,
line
sir.
items that have already been allocated.
Right, and the functions like transportation, where it was already budgeted for transportation, non-labor expenditures.
Well, the one that was bothering me was the plant operations, which are
Yeah.
paying your utilities. And what is that coming out of?
It is within that function. On page, if you'd like to look at the detail, page 3 of 5 in the amendments.
this one, this amendment won't have to go to the full commission because he's doing it within the functions.
Yeah. I increased the electricity budget 350,000, took 375,000 out of the natural gas budget. Increased the water and sewer budget by 75,000. Increased custodial supplies by 73,500. That number went up on us. That's closer to what our actual was last year. That number has just been increasing on us. A fair number of those are petroleum derivatives.
Now that I see your breakdown on it, I was thinking you just had one.
No, no,
You were thinking electricity, natural gas.
Yeah. Yeah. But, and our recommended motion is to amend $1,332,700, which I already read this, I'm sorry. Our third amendment is other expenditures. And this amendment changes the coding for two expenditures. $750,000 of that state one-time nearly $2.2 million in park funding to upgrade technology in our schools for the online testing. When we budgeted that last year, we knew what we would accomplish in spending it. We were thinking more of it might be network related than was. The network related stuff we keep in 72,810, the technology function, and the actual where we were putting in most of the money was spent on what probably the biggest individual expenditure was wireless access points throughout our schools, and a few of them had them. We had done pilots in 2, but pretty much we hit every other school. And so we're moving $750,000 out of the technology department data processing equipment into the instructional budget data processing equipment. And then the $25,000 is for student handbooks. I should have done that in the budget originally, but I overlooked that. This 72,810 central and other function used to kind of be the catch-all. 15 years ago, it was the catch-all for central office expenditures. The state has kind of, they haven't changed the caption for it, but they've kind of moved it to technology. So this is taking out a non-technology expenditure and recording it in the superintendent's office. The recommended motion is to amend $775,000 in already budgeted park and student handbook expenditures out of function 72,810, central and other, as presented.
That's the 3 for the general purpose? Is there 3
There's
for
a fourth,
the
general
the
purpose.
fourth is general.
Revenues. Got some good revenue numbers again, which is always nice. This amendment adds a net $2,642,229 in revenues to the current year GPS budget. It does add $537,923 in expenditures and increases fund balance by $2,104,306. Most of the revenue adjustments are for local revenues and are in line with the increases seen across the county. $32,096 is for donations and the related expenditures. $70,621 is for trustees' commission. The other increases in expenditures are for utilities, $350,000. Can't overdraw the function. A boiler replacement, we've had 3 of them. And I think we have a 4th one coming up. This one was only $32,000. An additional $32,355 for the diesel fuel price adjustment. We had to pay that every period this year to our bus owner operators per our contract. And $20,851 in Safe Schools grant expenditures. And the additional utility funds are just to make certain, and after I looked at the numbers last week, maybe I should put a little more in, that this major function, plant operation, does not get overdrawn. If we don't use them, they'll flow to fund balance. And our recommended motion is to amend a net $2,642,229 $29 in revenues to the 2013-14 general purpose school budget, an additional $537,923 in expenditures, and to increase fund balance by $2,104,306.
Motion approved.
Commissioner Jernigan, thank you.
Second motion.
Seconded by Commissioner Salmon. Discussion or questions for Mr. Sandvik?
On number 4 on revenues, what's that make the general purpose school budget for this year now?
3026 or 7, I believe. But essentially 2.2 million of it was non-recurring money for the park grant. And then we transferred $623,800, I believe, to the Blackman Middle Annex. So it's, if you take out those two adjustments, we're still on recurring items just under 300 million.
Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes. Mr. Sandvik, Central Cafeteria Fund Budget Amendment.
This amendment reduces budgeted cafeteria fund revenue by $1,037,441 and reduces budgeted expenditures by the same amount. Most years, and for our 2014-15 budget is also true, we don't have final federal reimbursement rates. There are a lot of things we don't know when this budget is approved. So anyway, this amendment is a net, it reduces budgeted revenues and reduces budgeted expenditures by the same amount. The biggest single item is we get commodities from the federal government used in the cafeterias. In the budget, we had $1,250,000. We're going to spend just over half of that. So I reduced that revenue and that expenditure by $620,308. But
So this came out because you use less, is why.
Well, and
when
some of
you
our-
don't get as much from it. You didn't have as many
Right.
free and reduced lunches or whatever.
our USD, our reimbursable meals, I did have to decrease a bit. And some of that just, I was probably a little optimistic in my numbers last year. But,
Motion to approve, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Salmon, thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Baum. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes. Thank you, Mr.
Jeff,
Salmon.
Thank you very much.
Enlighten me on something.
Yes, sir.
You know, we're required by the state, I assume, to keep this at a certain level. Is that
Yes,
correct?
sir.
And that's why we're doing this. I
Right.
assume,
Mhm.
Because they require a certain funding level,
Right.
maximum and minimum.
Maximum and minimum.
Okay,
Yeah.
just wanted to make that plain. So.
We will very likely face a meal price increase next year.
Madam Chairman, I just
For
wanted to,
15-16, not for 14-15.
I want to kind of give some kudos to Jeff. I've really enjoyed him being over there in the finance department with
Thank you, sir.
the school board, and you know, when you got adjustments like this and got questions, he is so thorough and goes through the whole thing. And sometimes I need it a little slower, and you do a good job, and I appreciate you. It takes questions right out when you explain it the way you do it, and I really appreciate you over
Thank
there.
you, Commissioner. I appreciate it. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
And I'm sure you're going to stay with us.
I am, and I'll see you Friday morning.
Come over here.
Okay, gentlemen, we're ready for the 2014-2015 final review of the budget. Mrs. Nolan.
If you go to the first page, this morning I received the assessed values from the assessor, and it was significant, so I do want to make changes to the revenue. So typically, the last few years I haven't made adjustment because it wasn't 20,000-30,000, so I didn't go through the exercise to do it. So our general fund penny is now $619,262, and a school penny $531,079. If you go to general fund, we're going to hit the funds that have changes as a result of this, and something that we've had tonight. If you go to the second page and look at the general fund, I need to add $3,900 for that PAWS grant that you just approved, and so that's an increase to the revenues and the appropriations. And then changing the value of the penny, it adds $631,328 in additional revenue to the general fund. I prepared this morning, and I changed my estimate of the unassigned fund balance to 19 million. This was before I did the $500,000 amendment that we did tonight, so it might change once we close. But if we did end up with the 19 million, we'd have a 20% fund balance, which would be really good since our minimum is 15. The ambulance fund, the adjustment for the current levy adds $54,603 to that revenue. We've not made any other changes. Fund 131, the Highway Road Board Fund, adds $12,199 to the revenue. I do see that I didn't change the value of the penny on these sheets. School fund added to the current levy $964,123. So with their estimated beginning assigned fund balance, instead of being at 3, we're 3.38.
Did we also adjust the unassigned fund balance there up about $2 million, given the information we just got?
No, I mean, that was already factored in when he upped it.
That
to
was already
22.
factored in into this, okay.
Right, Jim? I think so. Debt service fund, the change in assessments adds $552,424 to the debt service. Educational capital projects, it adds $36,449 to the revenue. So making these changes to revenue in the $3,900, our total estimated revenues is $460,618,969. The recommended appropriations $480,710,020.
And the amount of fund balance we're using has decreased from 22 to 20 million. That's significant.
And this number should come in lower than that. Well, this is
Again,
worst case scenario.
If worst case scenario, if we only get what we,
Yeah,
and we spend every dollar.
yeah, that's what I
Right.
said in the past. You have to budget worst case scenario where you're gonna get as little as possible and spend as much as possible, but we're not gonna do that. And so this number will come in better. We don't know how much better. It might be $1 million, it might be $4 million, but it will come in better than that.
So that's I guess, all the changes that we've made in the finance office to the budget.
We don't need action on that, do we?
You would like
Well,
to-
I guess motion approve all those changes
to all those changes, I would think.
for revenue.
Make a motion to approve the budget as presented with changes.
Thank you, Commissioner Jordan.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner P.
Doolin seconds.
Duly. Okay. Would you try to record that, please, Mr. Tucker?
So what you're saying is we could lower the tax rate by a few pennies, or we could pay a few $1 million down on something else or a bill, pay it. Or we could just leave it in there at 20%.
That's probably advisable, so because we don't have that much extra going forward. Future years, we need to hold that, I believe.
But we could.
We could.
2 or 3 options.
Or, instead of borrowing for a capital item that may come up, you use the fund balance.
I understand.
That's true. Like boilers, they lost 3. What did we lose this year? 2? 1 for sure. There's been 2 real close, one at the sheriff's and one at the courthouse. So. Yeah.
possible.
Replace it every
always
3 or 4
something.
years, it seems like.
Gives you some options.
Got insurance there, we're gonna have to get a tanker.
When you figure,
Self-insurance.
Tanker at Kitchell's Communities tanker, that's
Yeah.
not the county's
Yeah.
tanker.
Yeah.
So
We're
their
looking to
insurance will
replace
be
it.
working with that
Mhm.
loss.
Thank goodness they wasn't.
when you figured all these out, you figured them out at the certified tax rate? The
Yes.
increase, yeah.
The rate.
okay.
Well, I mean, yes, I mean,
Yeah, 'cause
we
it's
have to use
lower
the.
for everyone, yeah.
Right,
And you have to use that until
He's
it's
gonna do it.
changed or
Right.
approved, right?
right.
Okay.
I use the certified tax rate unless you change it.
Okay, let me, on the educational capital projects, you know, it was 5 cents when it was put in, now it's gonna be 0.0439. But it's generating a lot more money now than it
Well, I
used
mean,
to.
it's just like all the other funds.
Yeah,
I mean,
'cause
the tax rate is
everything's
down, but
going
it,
up.
they
Going
do
up.
have more funds.
Do you remember, I'm not even gonna ask that question, because you remember it's not gonna go back 5 years or 6 years, whatever it is, to how much they actually got roughly the first year?
The first time,
Or was
was it 1.9?
We've looked at that number, but I don't
Yes.
remember. You're right, Commissioner, it has grown a lot with the value of the penny.
Okay.
Gentlemen, we do have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes. We're at item 11, our 2014-2015 tax levy resolution. Be it resolved by the Board of Commissioners of Rutherford County, Tennessee, assembled in regular session, this will be the 27th day of June, on Friday, that the combined property tax rate for Rutherford County, Tennessee for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2014 shall be $2.4968 on each $100 of taxable property, which is to provide revenue for each of the following funds and otherwise conform to the following levies. For the general fund, .6521, ambulance service fund, .0564, highway fund, .0126, general purpose schools, 1.1612, education capital projects fund, .0439, debt service, .5706, for a total of $2.4968. Section 2 deals with the business tax. Section 3 tells how the sales tax revenue is divided. Section 4 explains how the wheel tax revenue is divided. Section 5 tells how the development tax revenue is divided. And of course, that's 50% to the general fund and 50% to the general debt fund. And Section 6 explains how interest earned on idle operating balances will be distributed. And I will entertain a motion for the tax levy resolution for 2014-15 fiscal year.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Commissioner Sandlin, thank you.
Second.
And seconded by Commissioner Schaefer. Discussion. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes. Item 12, the 2014-15 appropriation resolution. Be it resolved by Commissioners of Rutherford County, Tennessee, that the amounts hereafter set out are hereby appropriated for the purpose of meeting the expenses of various funds, departments, institutions, offices, and agencies of Rutherford County, Tennessee for the capital outlay and for meeting the payment of principal and interest on the county's debt maturing during the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2014 and ending June 30, 2015, according to the following schedule. The general fund, a total appropriations of $85,135,900. The Economic Development Fund, $309,907. Solid Waste Sanitation Fund, $4,527,208. The Ambulance Service Fund, $11,869,875. Special Purpose Fund, $5,000. Drug Control Fund, $348,160. Highway Fund, $9,249,064. General Purpose School Fund, $306,688,721. Central Cafeteria Fund, $18,333,292. Education Capital Projects Fund, $2,400,425. And the Debt Service Fund, $41,842,468. And the following pages are all the details of how these appropriations will be spent.
The nonprofits begin in section 14.
Chair will entertain a motion for the 2014-2015 appropriations resolution.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
Thank you, Commissioner Sandlin. Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes. Item 13, we have an Industrial Economic Development Fund budget amendment.
These next two budget amendments deal with the debt that we just did, and this is the $2.5 million worth of bond proceeds for the airport loan coming into the Industrial Economic Development Fund and recognizing those monies coming in.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Commissioner Jordan, seconded by Commissioner P. Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes. We have a Debt Service Fund budget amendment. Mrs. Nolan?
Yes, ma'am, and this is the part of the proceeds that came through the debt service fund that retired the $9.3 million and the note, capital outlay note, and recognized the underwriter's discount and other debt issuance charges separated by whether or not it is a general expense or an education. That's what your differences are. They're the same thing, but one is education, one is general. So $9,602,000 coming in, $318 for bond proceeds recognized, and then the appropriations. That's $9.3 million separated by whether or not it's general. 15% of it is general reduction of principal, and the other was 85%. $7,905,000.
Motion to approve.
Commissioner P., thank you.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Jernigan. Discussion? Call the roll, please.
Commissioner Baum?
Yes.
Commissioner Jernigan?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner P?
Yes.
Commissioner Sandlin?
Aye.
Commissioner Schaefer?
Yes.
Commissioner Ely?
Yes. Mrs. Nolan, you had an item of other business that you wanted to present to the committee.
Oh yeah, this is something personal. I am a member of Rotary. I've been a member for 2 years, and I've been on their board for 1. And beginning in July, I will be serving as treasurer. And so with that, I have to. It's usually what happens to the accountants; they end up being the treasurer. On these boards.
I wonder why.
I don't know. But anyway, they will be giving me software, QuickBooks, and so I just want to ask permission, if it is okay with y'all, to put it on my laptop to account for their activities. It's not money commingling with the county, it's just,
Just using the
you know,
county computer a
that's it.
little bit.
right, so.
You need a
And you will
motion?
not be doing it on?
I'll not do it on company
company
time. I will not do that on company time, but I just wanted to make sure it was.
Do we need a motion?
Would
Well,
you feel
I feel
comfortable
good.
to do that?
Just let, I just want full
You just-
disclosure that y'all know that I.
Motion to allow Ms. Nolan to use the county computer to help with the Rotary Club's bookkeeping.
Okay.
Second.
Seconded by Commissioner Bowman. All in favor, please say aye.
On her own time.
On my own time.
Anyone opposed? Okay, thank you. I know she appreciates that also. Gentlemen, you need to sign the resolution that is coming around. I'm sorry, I totally forgot that, and Mr. Tucker just reminded me. Is there anything else that needs to come before our committee?
Blackman Barbecue is Friday night. So it's at the Lane Agri Park. Good family event. Come on out. They'll have music and fun for the kids, and good eats is normal. And I think there may be one or two politicians out there. I don't know if there will be or not. But anyway, don't look forward to them. Come out and eat some barbecue and have a big time.
Start at 5 o'clock.
5 to 8, I believe it is. Yeah.
Any other business that needs to come before our committee?
Well, Madam Chairman, I want to thank you for another good budget year and appreciate you for all your, I think, 24 years of service on this county commission and the many years of being chairman on budget. We're leaving together, so to speak, off a budget, but this was a pleasant budget year to go through, and it to be our last, so thank you.
This is a good committee, gentlemen. I've really enjoyed working with all of you also. And remember, we still have some work to do on Friday morning.
Yeah.
So be here at 9 o'clock, breakfast at 8:30. We are adjourned. Thank you, gentlemen.